Hey guys, it's Fisayo here, and this is the OPPO A92, announced and released in May of 2020. I've had this device for over a month now, and in this video I'll be sharing my thoughts about this phone. I will share my experience with using it and what you should know before getting this. As always, I'll have my timestamps in the description of this video so you can skip ahead to different sections that you need quick information about. Without further ado, let's get to the video. The box of the A92 has a warm blue to purple gradient finish to the front and sides, nothing too crazy, and this carries on to the phone itself, as we'll see in a bit. There's a smaller box inside that has the same ejector tool, a soft silicone case. Not many manufacturers give you that. I'm glad it's there, and of course the quick guide plus the safety guide documentation. The next thing we have in the box is the A92 itself, wrapped in a nylon that has some of the highlighted specs of this phone. 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, 1080p Neo display, 48 megapixel quad camera, 5000 mAh battery, and an 18-watt fast charger. For about 250 euros or $300, although the Naira price may be different. I'll update it in the description of this video. Anyway, I'll test all of the aforementioned specs in this video, so do stay tuned for all that info. We'll put the device to the side for now, and for the rest of the things in the box, we've got this paper separating more accessories, the thick USB-C cable, OPPO's new headphone that has green accents, which I've come to like actually, and then the huge and uniquely styled 18-watt fast charging brick. As I've said, I have my timestamps in the description of this video, so if you want to quickly see how the battery performs and the charger, you can skip to that chapter. Now moving on, I took the wrap of this device and I was introduced to the cool gradient design, which the box obviously draws inspiration from. It actually looks really sleek. Booting it up took just 31 seconds, which is faster than many devices I've tested. When it comes to the build quality of the OPPO A92, I like that OPPO gives you a screen protector on your screen right out of the box. It will basically protect it from scratching depending on your usage, or basically for a lengthy period of time. Unless you actually want to feel the real glass, then you can take it off. The back of the A92 sports the Aurora Purple gradient finish. This series comes in 3 variants: the Twilight Black, the Aurora Purple, which you have here, and the Shining White, which has a blue ending to it. Overall, dope colors. You have the quad camera array on the back and OPPO branding at the lower part of the back. OPPO sticks with a polycarbonate material on here, which is a safer option if your phone drops. In addition to that, as what you saw in the unboxing of the phone, they provide you with a silicone case. This case has a raised edge for face drops, or if your phone is placed face down so it doesn't scratch. Anyway, I'm happy to report that I didn't use this device without the case until this video, so make of that what you will. Actually, if you get this phone, don't use this phone without a case. Use a case. Not only would it save you from the fingerprint magnet that it is, in cases of accidental drops, it would pretty much protect it. It doesn't hide the aesthetic that you have on this phone. You can still look through and see the gradient, so it's a win-win. The right side of this phone has the power button that also serves as the fingerprint reader, which is a new trend I'm seeing and I love. This is much better than the fingerprint reader being at the back or a regular fingerprint reader on the screen, in my opinion, because you end up pressing the power button anyway, so why not just make it a fingerprint reader? It's one less design choice to make. The left side has the slot for your dual nano SIMs and a dedicated micro SD card, plus the volume rockers, while the bottom houses the headphone jack. There's also a microphone port to the right of that, and there's a USB-C port as well. And there's one of the speakers. Yes, this device is a stereo speaker device, and the second speaker is just up top where the earpiece is, and there's nothing on the top of the phone itself. The camera array protrudes, and it will definitely rock on a flat surface, so just take note of that. The display of the A92 is pretty okay. It's a 1080p display with resolution set at 1080 by 2400. It's a 6.5-inch LCD display. Pretty big, and it has a pixel density of 405, which is also quite high as well. There's a slight chin at the bottom of the display, so that's something to take note of as well. Watching content on here was cool too. It does render videos at 60 FPS and 1080p while streaming on YouTube. It looked stunning and just on point. Definitely no complaints about video quality on here. Also, there's an accessibility feature to take screenshots, screen records, access to file manager, and do a lot more while you're watching videos. You can add more tools as well. You also have dark mode on here, no big deal. Of course, it's not an OLED display which saves your battery while you're in dark mode, but it does look aesthetically pleasing when the theme changes. I did enjoy using the A92 in general, at least when it came to content consumption, especially YouTube. Also, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and I would love it if you could give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when we post a new video. We're trying to get to 100,000 subs before 2020 ends. That would be amazing, and I can't wait to bring you more quality content. All right, so the A92 has stereo speakers and they were quite loud. In this not so comprehensive test I'm going to show you now, you can give it a listen and let me know what you think of the sound quality in the comment section below. This is my sound quality test of the OPPO A92. I'm holding the phone in the same position I will hold it when I'm making a phone call. Let me know what you think about the sound quality in the comment section below. Sound quality on this device was cool, and the stereo speakers were definitely louder than I expected. Headphone quality wise though, just like the Reno 3, the headphones were good. However, this doesn't have the Dolby Atmos headphone quality that the Reno 3 has, so that's something to take note of if you're considering this. But the Reno 3 is also much more expensive. Talking about internals and software on here, we've got Android 10. It's an Android 10 device. I got an Android security patch update to June 2020, ColorOS 7.1, which I thought was cool as well. That being said, memory space on here is 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage of UFS 2.1 storage. I think this is the only option we have for this device. It's the only one I've seen personally, 8 gigs and 128 gigs. When it comes to the processing power, however, we have Qualcomm's Snapdragon 665, the same processor as the Redmi Note 8. You can check that with the card up above, but this does perform well. Lags were quite distant from my use, at least for the period I've had it for the past month. However, during gameplay of Asphalt, there was just a tiny bit of jerkiness or lag. It didn't affect the overall gameplay, however. Gameplay graphics for Call of Duty was actually a default high, which was very, very cool to see. This is among just a select few of 1080p mid-range devices, so you're definitely at an advantage here. GameSpace, an app that comes with this phone, had a very useful hidden feature. It lets you block notifications or calls altogether while you're gaming for no distraction, and it has tools to optimize for battery levels as well. I did a 30-minute Call of Duty test on here, and battery went down from 67% to 58%, so it's a 9% battery loss after 30 minutes of gaming. Speaking of the battery though, you have a 5000 mAh battery displayed, but OPPO also adds a disclaimer of having a minimum 4880 mAh because 5000 mAh is the typical battery, so that's something to think about. My day-to-day use wasn't too bad at all. I was still able to end the day with around 19 to 20% on very light use. This doesn't have any super crazy display effects or refresh rate, so it won't drain your battery as much. It's modest in that regard. However, when you're gaming a lot, battery will drain faster than that. Now, when it comes to the charger that this comes with, the 18-watt charger, I did my usual 30 minutes tests, and it went something like this: from 0 to 35% in the first 30 minutes of charging it. From 35%, it went up to 64%, then up to 87%, then 99%. Barely 7 minutes after, it went up to 100%. Do let me know what your thoughts are about the charging speed in the comment section below. An 18-watt charger charging the 5000 mAh battery on here in 2 hours and 7 minutes from 0 to 100%. Unlocking options on the A92 are of course the side-mounted fingerprint reader, which I thought was very fast and I very much prefer. You've also got face unlock as well, aside your regular PIN, pattern, and password. Speaking of face unlock now, you get a toggle that can disable face unlock access if your eyes are closed, as well as another toggle to increase brightness when you want to use it in the dark, which is cool. The front camera of the OPPO A92 is a 16 megapixel f2.0 camera with HDR support. It shoots at 1080p at 30 fps, secluded in that hole punch cutout. The back has a quad camera array, 48 megapixel wide camera, which you have access to through the camera software in the menu. So it's not exactly a 48 megapixel lens. You have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth sensor, and 2 megapixel black and white sensor, plus the flash. The back camera is capable of shooting 4K at 30 fps, plus 1080p at 30 fps and 120 fps. Also capable of HDR, so that's fair enough. Now to the test. I'll start with the selfie test. The 16 megapixel selfie does take good photos. It takes detailed shots, and you might want to turn off the beauty filter so it doesn't make things too artificial. But just as a warning, you might actually like the results. In portrait mode for selfies, however, things almost always got quite too bright, despite the same lighting. This changes if you manually tap on the brightest part of the image, or automatically if you have maybe a brighter skin tone, or if you have something bright on your face like a face mask. I still prefer the normal mode shots because everything was just balanced, and I liked the skin tones on here. When it comes to zoom quality, of course, the 8 megapixel ultra wide takes decent ultra wide shots. And when you switch to the main camera, which is not the 48 megapixel mode, the colors change a bit. It's more punchy this time around. When you go to 2x, the image quality is still retained. And you should know that it's just the main camera that is doing all the work, all the zooming work. There's no telephoto camera on here. There's a 5x zoom mode, which you can start to notice a bit of grain, and it goes all the way up to 10x, which is quite noisy. The depth sensor on here is good because it not only is it capable of taking portrait photos of people, it's also, you know, like many cameras do, this also takes portrait images of objects as well. Cut around it, separating the background blur, was very, very cool too as well. So I thought it was welcome, and I thought it was very usable. 48 megapixel shots pack in a lot of detail, and it's impressive how much you can see in the images as well. The colors were much better, and I had no complaints. Just note that the 48 megapixel shots are going to go for at least 10 megabytes of your memory. So you may want to consider the number of shots you're taking in 48 megapixels. This already has 128 gigs of storage. It may not even affect you in the first few years of owning it. I got as close to objects as possible to also test the macro shots, and yes, they did perform well too. They weren't the sharpest looking, but they did turn out quite interesting, and again, usable. 4K video on the OPPO A92 looks so colorful and clean. The saturation was very welcome, but it was also very shaky. There's only a gyroscope electronic image stabilization here, no optical image stabilization. So this translates to a bit more stable footage in 1080p. This was a recurring theme during my usage throughout. So yes, 4K, while it's more colorful and pleasing to look at, it's not stable, and 1080p is less colorful, less saturated, but stable. So if you want to pick this up for content creation, you may want to consider getting a tripod to really enjoy the benefits of using the 4K camera. In video, you can also zoom up to 10x and still piece out some form of detail in your shots. Of course, you can even go macro and it will still be clear. The camera was literally close to the ground, was on the ground even for this shot. However, when taking pictures, you can't zoom in the 48 megapixel mode, so that's something to note. The camera here also has night mode, which does a 7-second burst for multiple shots, piecing multiple shots together, just to make it brighter and, you know, it's sharper. Hey, what's up guys? So this is the front facing camera video quality of the OPPO A92. It shoots at 1080p at 30 fps. It's a 16 megapixel f2.0 sensor, and as you can see, there's quite some exposure behind me there. This is how we do our exposure tests. The sun is quite bright and the exposure is quite much, and when I tap on the brightest part of the image, it actually dims everything, and you know, I'm not in focus. It's trying to keep everything in focus as much as possible by trying to even everything out and not make there be a bright or too bright part of the video. And you know, when I tap on my face again, it keeps me in focus and brightens everything else in the background. So this is mostly common among many mid-rangers, but let me know what you guys think about both the video quality that you see and the sound quality in the comment section below. So that's it for the OPPO A92. What are your thoughts on this device? It's in a pretty unique spot for what it offers, but I want to know what you think, and if you would consider getting one. Do you have any questions about this device as well? Do drop your questions in the comments. I'll be sure to chat and reply to as much as possible. If you like this video and you found it useful, do give it a like, hit the thumbs up button, and if you love this video, do hit the subscribe button and the bell icon beside it so you'll be the first to know when I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the very next video.